All right. The defense may present a witness.
Your Honor, I would begin by offering the evidence, which I don't believe has been done, with Sarasota Memorial Hospital records. There's a large box over there, and I guess it would be Defendant's Exhibit would be Defendant's Exhibit PP.
PP?
Yes, sir.
All right, and it's by stipulation, stating the objection.
No, I do not have an
All right,
objection.
PP, which is the Sarasota Memorial Hospital records, are admitted.
They're contained in a large FedEx box there. So I won't pull mine. I would also offer an evidence Defendant's Exhibit 00, and I've shown it to the state. It's an email, and I would ask the public.
All right.
Which one is that?
It's an email from Pasolino to Bybee. Thank you.
May I see it, Mr. Keir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. This is an email. Any objection, State?
No, no objection.
All right. Any objection to that document being published? Ms. Fraley, you have no objection to it being published for the
No,
jury
not
to
at all.
take a look at? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Defense Exhibit 0 or 00, I guess. Mr. Kapir, could I give you just a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you just hand it to the jury and let them take 2 minutes and review it. All right?
Can I publish?
Yes, you may. That might save us. We'll take 2 minutes just getting the thing lined up.
Take me 5 minutes to figure it out.
I think we have cheaters for you. We've got them. Thank you, Rob. Here, first witness.
Thank you.
Next witness, I should say.
Defense would call Deputy K. Trish. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Could you please state your name, spell your last name for the court reporter?
Sure. My name is K. Marie Trichler. It's Tritschler.
And you're a deputy with the Sarasota Sheriff's Department, correct?
Yes.
How long have you held that position?
As a deputy, 10 years. And before that was a public service aide for 10 years.
What does a public service aide do?
There's a civilian position where we're out on the road and we answer calls for service, most of them that don't have any suspect to it. It could be a barrage of calls that come in from dispatch or that are given to us, disabled vehicles, highway obstructions, vehicle burglaries, criminal mischiefs, thefts, missing persons, stolen vehicles.
Okay,
Mhm.
wide range of things.
Yes.
Let me draw your attention to January 11th of 2017, this year. In what capacity were you working for the Sheriff's Office?
I work at the North Front Desk.
Could you tell us what you do there?
Yes, I answer calls for service that come in. Some of them on the voicemail recording if I can't get to the phone right away. Also people that walk in off the street, calls also from dispatch that the road sergeants need to send to the front desk to handle. for manpower out on the road.
Kind of like a desk air traffic controller, moving things around, directing people where to go?
Yes, at times.
All right. Let me draw your attention to roughly 4:14 p.m. on January 11th, 2017. Did you become aware that a phone call was made to the sheriff's office by a Marcia Soul?
Yes, she called in, and because I was busy taking other calls for service and also walk-ins, she called in and left a message on our answer machine at 4:14 p.m. Requesting that she receive a call back.
Now, I take it that part of your responsibilities are when you can't get to calls, you go back and you check on that, the voicemails.
Yes, as soon as we
Leading
can.
questions, Your Honor.
World.
Is that what you did on this day?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And is that how you found this call?
Yes.
What did you do? Well, you listened to that voicemail, is that fair?
Yes.
What did you do in response to listening to that phone voicemail?
I was able to call her back at 4:32 p.m. To find out what she needed from us.
Were you able to connect with her?
Yes.
Did you, as a result, have a conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
Did she indicate to you what her complaints were, or what her issue was that caused her to contact the sheriff's office?
She was looking for the names of the guys that had showed up at her house in white shirts and ties.
Did you know what she was referencing at that point?
I had not a clue.
You have the ability, I take it, correct me if I'm wrong, to reference your computer system when someone makes a call to see if you can find out what they're talking about?
Yes, I can double check in our what we call our Wings 4 system to see if we've ever been out to a house beforehand.
Did you say Wings 4?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. The Wings 4 system, and I can type in the address or a telephone number or somebody's name to see if we've ever been out to the house beforehand.
Did you do that in this situation?
Yes, I did, because I was confused as to what she was referring to.
Were you able to find anywhere on your Wings 4 system that, I guess it's a strange question, but whether guys in suits and white shirts and ties had shown up there?
I double checked and I couldn't see where any of the units had logged out there to show that they were at the address. But I did see where we had been out there with the previous history.
Okay. If in fact detectives from the Detective Bureau or individuals from Internal Affairs had gone to her residence previously, would that be in your Wings 4 system?
Not always, no.
Beyond saying she wanted the names of the two guys, were you able to help her with that request?
No, because I couldn't figure out whom she was referring to, because she said that she'd lost their cards that she was given.
Did she proceed to tell you, Deputy, that what her real complaint was about?
Yeah, she wanted to complain about Frank Bybee, because she kept saying that he stole her money, and that she had just, that he took her $65,000 from her, that he had hacked into her computer, and that he also, she had given him 2 checks for $1,000 each, but that she wanted her money back, and that he also had her dog, and she wanted a dog back.
All right. In addition to her providing that information to you, did she say anything to you that raised a concern for you that she may, or she was suggesting that she may hurt herself?
Yes, she said that she had just gotten out of rehab that day after being in there for 2 weeks. And when I inquired about that, she goes, well, the Deputy Bybee had Baker acted her and that she shouldn't have been there. But then she started making statements about sitting in her car with the engine running in the garage.
Did you ask her if, well, let me ask you this. When you have someone that calls and you interact with them on the telephone, and you may have an indication that they wish to harm themselves, or they say something that may indicate to you that they wish to harm themselves, do you follow up on that?
I do. It's happened a couple times beforehand at the desk.
Objection, non-responsive.
Overruled.
What does that mean?
Just to clarify, it's happened other times before that, not with Ms. Soul.
No, no.
But you're familiar with that?
Yes, where I'll keep them on the phone because I wear a headset in one ear.
Yes, ma'am.
And then there's also another desk at our station there. At the front desk, there's 2 computer stations, and I picked up the phone on the other one to call dispatch. And so I was talking to dispatch in one ear and trying to talk to her in the other to not let her get off the phone in case she was suicidal. And I kept talking with her just to keep her on the line while I was also trying to relay some information, and Com was picking up on that information that there might be a problem at the house.
Did you ask her if she wished to kill herself or harm herself?
I did.
And what did she say?
I don't recall whether she did or not specifically, but that was my impression.
While you were speaking to Ms. Soul, Deputy, did you get the impression that she was becoming a little flustered with your conversation?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
If you recall.
She did seem a little bit that she was bouncing on different topics.
Did she indicate to you that the conversation was ridiculous or boring or something along those lines?
Yes, because she kept trying to ask me who the people were that came out with the white shirts and the ties, and she was flustered because I couldn't find that information right off.
All right. Did you then, as a result of this conversation, dispatch deputies to her location?
I did not, but because I was on the line at the same time with my dispatcher, they dispatched somebody out there to do and check on her welfare.
A welfare check?
Whatever they termed it at the time
Yes.
for the call screen.
Yes, ma'am. Please, give a moment. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cross-exam.
You were interviewed on January 30th of 2017, isn't that right? What are you reading from?
My personal notes.
You're not allowed to read from your personal notes
Objection.
while you're testifying.
Sustained.
Your Honor,
Ma'am, personal notes may be used if you have no present recollection
Okay.
of the answers that would be responsive to questions. So try not to look at your notes unless you need to refresh your memory. And if you need to refresh your memory, then please just let us know that. We'll be trying to look at your notes and refresh them.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
did you prepare those notes so that you could testify this afternoon in this case?
No, these are the ones from the original call.
All right. Did you give those personal notes to the detectives who interviewed you?
No, but I read from them while I was being interviewed.
All right. Now, you were interviewed on the 30th.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the notes to
Did you
see.
look at your notes?
Yes, I was interviewed on the 30th.
And that was already 7 days after Bybee had been arrested.
I don't know about that. I don't recall.
Would you like to look at your notes?
I have no idea what day he was arrested.
And it was all over the newspapers from January.
Objection, Your Honor. That it was in the newspapers.
Please, let's not. Can I just,
Was
can
it-
I have, can I, you were interviewed by detectives on the 30th. Can you
Yes.
just clarify what month, year that was?
Were
for
you
the-
interviewed by detectives on January 30th of 2017?
Yes.
Right. And isn't it true that there were rumors flying all over the sheriff's office about this case?
I had heard some about it, but because I was at the time when this all started, I was on vacation at Walt Disney World with my family. I didn't know what the full detail was.
You said in your statement that there were rumors flying all over the sheriff's office.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. So were you privy to at least some of those rumors?
I guess you could say yes. That I had heard that he had,
Objection.
Just whether you had been privy to those.
oh, okay, yes.
Thank you.
Were you privy to those rumors?
I guess I'm confused with the question, what's privy?
Privy means, did you hear any of those rumors?
Yes.
Were a lot of people in the sheriff's office talking about the facts of this case?
I guess some were, but,
Ms. Tritchler,
mhm.
were people in the sheriff's office talking about this case nonstop?
I would assume so, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I heard some stuff, but I don't talk to a whole lot of people.
And you're right there on the first floor at the front desk
Mm-hmm.
where the mailroom is, are you not?
No, I'm not there where the mailroom's at.
Are you on the first floor in the same floor as the mailroom?
Yes.
Ma'am, thank you. And isn't it true that you learned a lot of facts about this case before you were interviewed by Detective Gaeta?
No.
That those rumors had been swirling around your office and your workplace for a week or more?
I paid them no mind.
You paid them no mind.
Mm-hmm.
Then how did you know that Miss Soule was alleging that checks were written for $65,000?
Because she told me that on the phone.
You're not sure of that. In fact, this
Objection.
entire...
Argument, and not a question even.
Are you sure of that?
Sustained.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, because it's here in my notes.
Because you couldn't keep any of what she told you straight, could you?
Confused.
This interview is full...
Your Honor.
Sustained.
Is this interview not full of
Your
guesses
Honor,
by you?
This is improper impeachment.
Sidebar, please.
Did Miss Soule tell you that Frank Bybee had sent a letter to her doctor that he had hacked into her computer?
Judge,
Then,
want to object and reapproach?
If she denies it, then you can show it to her and impeach her with it.
did you tell Detective Gaeta that Miss Soule told you that Bybee hacked into her computer, sent her doctor a letter stating that she, Miss Soule, intended to kill herself by sitting in her car with the engine running, with the windows closed, and the dog in her car? And did she say that was the reason why he, Bybee, had it out for her, and that was why she was Baker acted?
If I can refer to the notes, because right now I don't remember. If I can look at my notes here, I can maybe find it, but I don't remember right offhand.
Is there anything besides your notes that would help to refresh your recollection? For example, your statement.
If I could look at the statement, yes.
Please do so.
Okay,
It's on page 13,
thank you.
at the very bottom.
Okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
So you do agree that that's what she told you?
Yes.
Then why did you send people out there to do a safety check on her?
Because I was concerned that she may be trying to commit suicide by sitting in a car with the engine running.
But she told you that it was Bybee that sent her that letter, so why were you concerned?
Because she also made the same statement too, that she was going to sit in her car, and I thought that she may be mixing the two up together. The statements, because she had conflicting statements to me also.
Or do you think that you might have been mixing up the two together?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Objection.
Sustained.
Did Miss Soul say to you, "You're not listening to me. He wrote the letter"?
If it's in my statement,
It is in your
Yes,
statement.
okay.
Would anything help to refresh your recollection?
just looking at my statement would.
Please do so.
Okay, what page
It's
are you
on
on?
page 7 in the very middle.
Okay. Okay, yes, I see that.
All right, so how many times did Miss Soul have to say to you, "You're not listening to me," and try to get you to understand why she was calling?
I don't actually recall how many times she said it.
Was it more than once?
I don't recall.
Isn't it true that what you did was, instead of paying attention to what Miss Soul said, you pulled up the wing screen and made your own interpretation of what was going on with her call?
No, I saw that we were out there previously, but I was concerned for her welfare.
Did you pull up the wing screen and use that information to interpret what she was saying?
Objection, asked me.
Overruled.
I pulled up the wing screen and saw that we had been out there, yes.
And did not that wing screen influence you and make you decide that she needed a welfare check?
Okay, not seeing the wing screen, I don't remember what was written on there right now. It could have, though. I don't know.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Any redirects, sir?
Deputy Tishler, do you have any doubt that she referenced $65,000?
That's what she told me was $65,000.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
You may, subject to recall,
No, no.
Ms. Fraylook,
No, no, Your Honor.
to recall.
No, sir.
All right, Deputy, you are discharged from your subpoena. Thank you for your time. In defense, your next witness,
Your Honor, we would call Deputy Hamill, he's now Detective Hamill.
Detective Hammond.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Afternoon.
Make sure you have right to the microphone so we can get everything down. You're a detective now?
Correct.
Can you tell us how long you've been in the Sarasota Sheriff's Department?
I began employment in 2002.
Okay. Can you,
Wait for just one second. So what is your name?
yes, state your name for the record.
Sir, I'm Detective Jeffrey Hamill.
Hamill, Hammel.
Hammil.
Thank you.
Detective, can you tell us how long you've been in the department and what roles you've played, what jobs you've had?
I've been with the Sarasota Sheriff's Office since 2002. I served almost 3 years minus the deployment in corrections. Moved to patrol in 2005. Been in patrol since, minus another deployment. And most recently, I went to our investigations section in July.
July of 17?
Correct.
Right. Do you have an independent recollection of going out to a property in Brockton, Marshall Souls property?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me the time frame? Do you remember when that was?
It was January 11th at 4:32.
Okay, who did you go with?
My backup officer was J.P. Harris.
Just make sure we get his name. J.P. Harris.
Correct.
Okay. And he, when you say backup, what is that? What does that mean?
He's the secondary unit. I was primary. He was secondary.
So it's two separate vehicles.
Correct.
Okay, what did you do when you got to the property?
Knocked on the door.
Okay, and what happened next?
Miss Soul was, yelling to come in.
What do you mean? Tell us what you mean by yelling.
She announced to come in.
Okay.
I told her, come to the door. And she came along. Actually, I entered and she got out of her chair and came towards me and went into the kitchen.
Okay, can you describe what she was wearing?
I believe a long, like nightgown type outfit.
Okay. Did you notice anything unusual about that nightgown? Blood?
No,
Okay. What about her appearance? How did she look to you?
she appeared fine.
Okay, how was she acting? How would you describe her behavior?
She seemed anxious.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, what happened next?
She went into the kitchen. I asked her what I could do for her. She told me that she didn't want us here. She didn't call for us. She just wanted some information.
Okay, did she say she was looking for some men in suits?
She said she wanted the names of some men in suits.
Okay. And this was, just so we're clear for the jury, this was at 4:30 in the afternoon on the 11th of January, roughly?
Correct.
Okay. And then what happened next? Locking door?
Well, she was asking, she said she didn't want us here. She never called for us. She just wanted the names of the men in suits.
Okay, and what did that mean to you, if anything?
I was confused. I didn't know what she was talking about.
Okay. And what happened next in the conversation?
I explained to her. I said, I don't know what men you're talking about. Who are you talking about?
Okay, could she identify who they were?
She said they were men in suits, and when I asked her who they were, she said they were officers like me.
Okay. Did you ask her if she was on medication at all? Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. What happened next in that conversation?
I explained to her, I said, I don't know what men you're talking about. I said, are they like real estate agents or salesmen? She said, no, they were two men in suits like you. They gave me their cards, and that's all I wanted. It was like, who were they?
All right. And before you arrived, did you do any checking on this property at all? Is there some way for you to do that?
While I was en route, when you get a dispatch screen, it'll have recent events connected to the screen if you scroll down. And there was an event number, so I clicked on that.
What does that tell you?
It just gives you basically the previous screen for that address.
Calls to that address.
Correct.
Do you know what the number was?
I have no idea now.
Would 30 sound familiar?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Thank you. The conversation continued. What else did you talk about at that point?
I told her I didn't know who these men were. I had no record of officers coming to her house previously.
Was there any discussion about Frank Bybee?
Yes. She began saying, she was talking to them about Bybee.
Okay, what else did she say about Bybee?
She said that he was embezzling and basically fraudulently using her accounts.
Okay. Did she say something about how much that amount was?
She made a comment about $2,000.
$2,000. Did she break that down to how the $2,000 took place?
I don't recall like her specific words.
Okay, but that was the term. She said 2,000.
Yes.
Okay. Did she say anything else about Mr. Bybee?
Well, I mean, she went on about Bybee's exploiting her and embezzled money from her.
What about trying to harm her?
At one point, she said he's had me committed. He's trying to kill me.
He's trying to kill her?
Correct.
And that was at 4:30 on the 11th?
It
Approximately?
was sometime after 4:30 while I was still on scene.
That was concerned. I'm assuming you're concerned about that statement.
Yes.
Did she tell you how that Mr. Bybee was going to murder her or kill her?
No.
She gave no description of what he did or any way to try to do that.
I asked her, like, what do you mean? How would he have done that? And she just said, he's had me committed.
And you had no information about her past history?
Nothing other than the previous CAD screen I'd seen, or dispatch screen.
Okay. relation to her to what to do about reaching out to the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I explained to her, if you've, talked to men in suits and you've talked about this to, detectives, then, basically the detectives will follow up with you.
And what happened then?
Ultimately, we asked her numerous times whether she was feeling okay, whether she wanted to harm herself. She denied that, and we determined, we're there for a welfare check. We determined she did not meet any criteria for Baker Act, and
So you saw no evidence on January 11th, in the afternoon of the 11th, that she was a threat to herself or others?
correct.
Okay, and at that point you cleared.
Yes.
Subsequent to leaving the sold property, what happened next? Did you have a chance to talk with other law enforcement officials? Did you call?
Objection.
Did you learn at some point?
What legal basis?
Objection, hearsay.
Well, we haven't gotten to the.
Well, I know, but the question is, did you talk to other?
Overruled at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you speak with any law enforcement officials after you left the property?
Yes.
Who did you speak to?
I spoke with Detective Gata,
That was an
Sergeant Shurtleff.
That was an interview?
Correct.
And that would have been about the 12th?
Correct.
And did you have a subsequent one on the 17th?
I did.
Okay. And at that, and you were under oath when you gave those statements?
Yes.
And you were showed a photograph? Do you recall that from the detective?
I was.
Okay. Did that photograph depict how Ms. Soul looked that day?
Yes.
I'm talking about when you were there at 4:30.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Describe the photograph that you saw.
The photograph I saw, which was presented by Detective Gata, was Marcia Soul with bruises and injuries on her face.
You didn't see any of that.
I did not.
You saw no signs of violence either.
No.
1 minute, Your Honor. Nothing else. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Good afternoon.
Isn't it true that Marcia's statement is that Bybee was trying to kill me, not that he tried to kill me?
Correct.
Okay. It was in the present continuing tense. He is trying to kill me. Correct?
Correct.
And when you asked her how Bybee was trying to kill her, she said, he had me Baker acted and sent away, correct?
Correct. I believe she used the term committed, but
Committed. All right. She used the term, he committed me to a mental facility.
correct.
All right. Did you see any injuries on Marcia Soul's face on the 11th?
No.
How close did you get to her?
Within 4 feet, 5 feet.
Okay. Did you report Marcia Soul's complaint about Frank Bybee to your supervisor?
I did not.
Why not?
Well, it had become apparent that she had been talking to detectives. Just from my experience, I'm certain if she had talked to detectives, they would have been following up with her. It did suggest that she could call, internal affairs if she wanted to make a complaint about a deputy.
Don't you think it was important when a 79-year-old woman was complaining about embezzling, having her funds embezzled, and being falsely committed, that it would be something important to mention to your supervisor, Detective Hamill?
I believe it is important, but at the time I didn't think that was the case.
Thank you, sir. Nothing else.
Redirect?
Just briefly.
Hmm?
You said that Deputy Harris was there with you.
Correct.
Do you know if Deputy Harris made any mention about that complaint in his report? You know.
I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
Subject to recall?
Not by the state.
All right, thank you. Sir, you are discharged from your subpoena and may go about your business.
Deputy Harris.
Next witness will be Deputy Harris, Mr. Lakin. Mr. Lakin, Deputy Harris.
Yes. Jeffrey Harris.
Thank you.
Just stand right here for me, raise your right hand.
I do.
Good afternoon. Sir,
Good
can you just
afternoon.
state your name for the record?
Jeff Harris,
What is your title, sir?
deputy.
Welcome, Deputy. I'm John Lakin. Nice to meet you. Let me ask you, how long have you been with the Sarasota Sheriff's Department?
15 years.
Can you tell me over the 15 years what particular jobs you work, or what capacity, a brief history?
Yes, I worked as a deputy and as a detective, and I'm on the hostage negotiation team.
And let me ask you, do you have an independent memory of ever going onto a property on Brockton or the Marshall Souls property?
Yes,
Okay, do you remember the time frame when that was, what date that was?
not the date. I know it was in the late afternoon.
In what month? Do you remember the month?
No, sir.
Can I approach?
I would like to approach because
No, because.
Can I approach you on it?
You may.
Thank you very much. Sir, can you just look at this document yourself, where it says time and place at the top?
Yes, sir.
That's the only other ask. Does that refresh your memory of the time frame that was?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us the date?
January 17th. Is that-
Shoot, it says 2017. Can you look that up?
Yes, sir. Oh, correction. January 11th, 2017.
Right, it was in the afternoon, I think you said earlier?
Yes, sir.
All right, and when you went to the property, did you go there with someone?
Yes,
Another
sir.
deputy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who was that?
Deputy Hamill, or now Detective Hamill.
I'm gonna ask you to speak a little bit closer to
Sure.
the microphone, 'cause I'm actually having difficulty hearing you from here, and I'm close.
Deputy Hamill, he's now Detective Hamill.
Okay. And when you arrived at the property, did you go in separately, or was he already in there? Can you explain the dynamics of that?
I believe from my recollection, he was already there
Okay, and how did you come into the property?
through the front door.
Okay, and when you came in, what did you see?
I saw Deputy Hamill speaking to a woman seated in a recliner chair.
Okay. Did you see any visual injuries of her in any way?
No, sir.
Did you see blood on her gown or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. How did she seem to you based on your observations? Was she upset, not upset? How did she seem?
Upset.
Okay. Can you describe what you mean by that?
She was upset.
Was she yelling, crying? Can you describe when you say upset? Can you be more specific?
I don't recall that she was crying.
Okay. Was she raising her voice, not raising her voice?
I mean, that's,
You can't.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, do you have an independent memory of what she was saying? Do you remember what she was talking about, what her complaints were?
I have some recollection, yes, sir.
Can you tell us?
She had made a statement that that a deputy had been stealing from her.
Okay. And do you remember the amount of money that she said that the deputy had been stealing?
I don't recall the amount.
Okay. And what else did she say about the deputy?
I believe she had said Deputy Bybee, or that, and so she had placed a name with the deputy.
Okay. But my question to you is, what else besides the money was she complaining? What else did she say about the deputy?
Well, when she had said that, I said, "Did you report it to Internal Affairs?" And she said yes. And I said, "Then I'm not going to speak about it anymore. They'll handle it from here."
Okay. Did she say anything else about Deputy Bybee trying to commit any violent act towards her? Say anything like that?
I don't recall that.
One minute, Your Honor. I think I asked you don't have an independent memory of how much money she claims he was stealing.
I don't recall.
Thank you. Can you just read that to us? I'll ask you. I think we're at the last.
Yes. Me too. I haven't had a chance to review this document, so I don't know what this document is.
Did you have an interview with Inspector Gator at some point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was one statement of the oath.
Yes, sir.
Turn to that page. It's a question about how much you guys can say.
Yes, sir.
Is that refreshing memory?
Yes, sir.
How much was it?
I believe that I had stated either 200 or 2,000.
Thanks. Was it a welfare check? That's why you were there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you see any basis that she should be Baker Act?
No, sir.
Okay, you felt she wasn't a harm to herself or to others?
At that time, yes, sir.
Did you see anything, can you describe her walking ability? Did she have issues with that at all?
I don't recall her walking. She was seated during the time that I was there.
Okay, did you see a walker in the hallway? Do you recall that?
I don't recall offhand.
Can I approach her? What's the name?
Yes, sir. Okay. It refreshes my memory on the statement, yes, sir.
Was there a walker there?
I don't recall a walker being there, that's according to my statement.
But you saw it in memory? Independent memory?
Correct.
Okay. What happened next? What did you do next? Did you continue to speak with her? Or did you leave at some point? Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, once we got to a point where it was determined that she didn't meet the Baker Act criteria, we concluded our contact with her, and then I left.
Right. Okay. And that was all your involvement in this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you report her statements to Internal Affairs or any superior officers with respect to the allegation of stealing money?
She advised that it was reported, and then I'm not to be involved with that. In fact, once an IA started, that we're not allowed to talk about it.
And that's policies and procedures?
Generally speaking, yes, sir.
One second. you actually prepare a report?
No, sir.
You never prepared a report. Do you know if Deputy Hamill did?
I cleared backup, so backup doesn't do a report. Primary traditionally does the report.
You have no independent memory that you did a report.
I did not do a report.
When you were leaving, did you lock the door that afternoon? Do you remember?
I don't recall.
Well, do you recall whether you left last or did Detective Hamill, do you know?
I don't recall. I don't want to guess.
1 minute. Were you in close proximity to the conversation between now Detective Hamill, and Marcia Soul at any point in terms of their conversation?
The woman, Marcia, who is that?
Property that you were at, Marcia Soul.
Okay.
The woman was in the hall, correct? And that's a yes, we have to keep a record of it.
No, I understand. I did not know the name of the person when I was there.
Okay.
So,
Did you hear her say anything to Deputy Hamill then that Frank Bybee was trying to kill her? Did you hear that?
I don't recall. We were in the same proximity, all three of us.
Right. But you have no independent recollection of that?
I don't recall.
All right, thank you. Hold on. Did I ask you earlier about whether or not when you were leaving, you were going to lock the door? Do you recall that?
I recall.
Remember me asking you about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you had no memory of that? Independent memory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you just read something?
Sure, sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem.
Have you finished, sir?
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, sir. One moment. Yeah. Yes, sir. It does. Thank you.
What happened?
Yes, as I left, I advised her that I was going to lock her door as we left. And from my recollection, I believe that I attempted to do that. I don't recall her response, but I yelled out down to the hall where she was seated as I was leaving because I wanted to make sure the door was locked when we left.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Cross?
Good afternoon.
You don't really remember very much of anything about this, do you?
Not a lot.
Okay. And what you actually said was, I think I turned the lock switch and closed the door. Isn't that true?
That's true.
And you just read that now.
Correct.
And you said, I think. So you're not sure whether you locked the door or not, are you?
Correct. I could not confirm if it was.
And you don't remember, as you're sitting here today, whether that door was locked behind you or not, do you?
Correct.
Did Miss Soul have any injuries whatsoever to her face?
I didn't observe any injuries on her.
How close did you come to Miss Soul?
I would say probably within 3 or 4 feet.
All right. And when you say you didn't observe any, is that a yes or a no? Did you observe any injuries to her face? Did you see any injuries?
I didn't observe any injuries on her.
Is that a yes or a no? Did you see any injuries?
I did
Yes
not see
or
any
no?
injuries.
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to look at the answer to the question.
As far as I'm concerned, he's already answered it.
That's the answer.
I
Thank
didn't
you.
see any.
Nothing. Nothing else.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Subject to recall?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Thank you, Deputy. You're released from your subpoena, sir. You may go about your business.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Barshinger?
Barshinger?
Yes. Sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Dale Barshinger, last name spelling B as in boy, A-R-S-H-I-N-G-E-R.
You are a lieutenant with the Sarasota Sheriff's Department.
Correct.
How long have you been employed with the Sarasota Sheriff's Department?
Be 30 years in October, this October.
And how long have you been a lieutenant?
3 years, a little over 3 years.
You are a supervisory deputy over other deputies, correct?
I supervise 2 sergeants and the deputies that those sergeants supervise.
Any particular division, patrol, traffic?
Patrol division,
And how long have you done that during the 3 years you've been a lieutenant?
in patrol division all 3 years as lieutenant.
All right.
Different shifts, but
I'm going to take you back, if we can, to the end of last year. Apologize for the time period, but December of 2016, were you asked to assist Sergeant Legg with going over to a house of a lady named Marcia Soul?
yes, I was.
How were you notified about that? Do you recall?
He called me,
You say he.
Sergeant Lake called me
Thank you.
and said he had a complaint on Deputy Bybee. He said it was a little different than the usual complaint about, somebody being rude or something. And he said, I'll send it to you. You take a look at it and see what you think. So he sent me an email and I read it, the complaint that she had sent in. And I called him and he asked if I would be willing to go over there with him. I said, sure, I would, yes.
So you and Sergeant Legg both went over to Miss Soul's home, is that correct?
Correct.
Separately? Separate cars? But
Separate cars, but at the same time.
when you got to Miss Soul's residence, do you recall whether you were invited in or you were let in? Do you recall how that works?
We knocked on the door and she didn't come to the door. I think she was sitting in a chair in her living room. She asked who it was and we identified ourselves and she said, invited us to come in.
Now, so that we're clear, were you in uniform or were you in shirts and ties and suits?
Uniform.
You had a conversation at that point with Miss Soul, is that correct?
Correct.
During your interview with Miss Soul, how long do you think it lasted?
Half an hour, possibly, give or take a few minutes.
And during your interview with Miss Soul, did she make you aware that she had had communication via text message with Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Did you yourself personally, Lieutenant, look through her phone and look at some of these text messages?
Yes, I did.
And I know it's some time ago. Do you recall approximately how long it took you or how many you looked through?
No, there was a lot of text. Time-wise, I can't say number of texts. Time-wise, 5 minutes maybe. I can't say for sure.
Certainly don't want to put words in your mouth, but was it fair to say that it was a large grouping of text messages such that you felt someone else should look at it?
Well, it wasn't so much the volume. It was more some of the content that I saw.
Okay. As a result of looking through text messages and the information Miss Soul was giving you, did you request from her to take her phone?
Yes. Well, first, initially, when I saw some of the texts, I told her, I said, do you mind if I step outside? I need to make a phone call. And that's when I took her phone, I had it, and I went outside and I called, at that time, Captain Thorpe. He was our captain at that time.
Your supervisor?
My supervisor, yes.
Is it a situation where you were asking, what do you want me to do with it?
Yeah, yes.
And I don't mean to cut to the chase, but that's basically what you were doing. you got this information, you call your supervisor and say, what do you want to do?
Correct. I gave him because he had no idea that we were there on a complaint. I told him about the complaint and some of the content, and I said, how do you want me to handle this?
And you were asked at that point to see if you could take the phone or she could surrender the phone to you?
Correct.
Did you then go back in and ask her if you could do that?
Yes, I did.
Do you have to fill out any paperwork when an individual surrenders an item such as that?
No, when I asked her, she was a little concerned about when she would get it back, and I said, that's not my expertise. I said, I can't tell you exactly when you will get it back. But then she said, yes, she, volunteered for me to take the phone, but no paperwork was completed on that.
No requirement for her to give a consent or sign a consent?
Not in that situation, no.
Are you familiar with situations where that is required?
Yes,
Is that required when there's a criminal investigation?
if there was a criminal investigation, that would be different, yes.
At this point in time, there was not.
No, this was just a citizen complaint.
And that's why you did not
Correct,
do a consent or receipt.
correct.
You take the phone or did Sergeant Legg take the phone?
I took it.
And could you tell us where you took it?
I took it to our district headquarters downtown and to the second floor to the captain's office.
Did you put it in any type of evidence bag or anything along those lines, or just you had the phone in your hand?
I had the phone in my hand.
And you took it to where in the
To
office?
the captain's office on the second floor,
Which captain was that?
Captain Thorpe.
Did you actually have a conversation with Captain Thorpe about that phone at that time when you brought it to the
In the office?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Did either of you open it up and look in it and review the text messages while you were in Captain Thorpe's office?
I didn't. Not while I was in the office. Once I gave it to him and we discussed the situation and I left, I don't know what he did.
I'm assuming, and certainly you can correct me if I'm wrong, that what you mean by that is you left the phone with Captain Thorpe.
Correct.
And you didn't have anything else to do with it at that point in time once you left it and you left.
Well, the next day I did, but that day, no.
You have no idea what Captain Thorpe then did with that phone. Is that
I have
fair?
correct, no idea.
At some point in time, were you contacted and asked to return the phone?
Yes, the next day,
The next day?
the next day.
Do you remember ballpark about the same time frame, or was it a different time? Later, morning?
I can't say for sure when it was. It was during my shift, so it wasn't.
Your
It wasn't late in the day and it wasn't early in the day, so I would imagine middle of my shift, 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening at that time.
Sometime in that time.
Yes.
Who contacted you and asked to come back and retrieve the phone?
Well, I don't recall. I think it was Captain Thorpe, but I can't say for 100% sure.
It's all right. Let me ask you this. Do you recall where you retrieved the phone from?
No, I can't.
But you know that at least the next day, you and the phone come back together. Fair?
Correct.
And what do you do with it when you get it back?
I take it back to Marcia Soul's house
By yourself or with Sergeant Legg?
by myself.
When you get back to Miss Soul's house, did you have any additional conversation or interview with her?
No. I thanked her for letting her use the phone. She said she wanted to know if I would get her a drink of water. I got her a drink of water. Said, have a good day.
How long do you think you were there?
A couple minutes.
I may have a moment. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Any cross?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Any cross?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Sergeant Riley and Sergeant Borntreger are in internal affairs, correct?
Correct.
And do Sergeant Riley and Sergeant Borntreger and other members of the internal affairs, do they wear shirts and ties as opposed to uniforms?
Shirts and ties.
And did Sergeant Riley and Sergeant Borntreger visit Miss Soul dressed in shirts and ties?
While I was there?
No, not while you were there. Do you know do they wear shirts and ties?
Yes, they did.
All right. And do you know if Sergeant Riley and Sergeant Borntreger visited Miss Soul at some point?
I know
during this-
Sergeant Riley did. I haven't talked to Sergeant Borntreger.
All right, okay. But you know that Sergeant Riley went out there and spoke?
Yes.
And that his traditional garb is shirt and tie?
Yes.
And is Sergeant Borntreger's traditional garb shirt and tie?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Before you went out to meet Miss Soul with Sergeant Legg, did you know that Bybee had Baker acted her in October of 2016?
Yes.
And will you please tell us what was the date when you met with Miss Soul, you and Legg?
I think it was December 20th, 21st.
All right.
Would
Would anything help to refresh your recollection?
my notes from I had an interview with Detective Gata.
Okay. All right. So
I think it was December 21st.
thank you, sir. Now, were you concerned that a sheriff's office deputy had this kind of sustained relationship with a woman that he had Baker acted
Yes.
several months before?
Yes.
And did you take her complaint seriously?
Yes.
And based upon the seriousness of her complaint, what steps did you take, Lieutenant?
Well, that's part of the reason we wanted to look at her phone when she said this was a kind of like a ongoing, or I would say more than, I don't know about long term, but contact with him.
Yes.
And that's when I asked her, I said, well, how long have you been having, or are you still in contact with him? And she said, yes. And I asked how, and she said, well, I have text messages. And I said, you have text messages? She goes, yeah. And she volunteered. She goes, they're on my phone. And that's, excuse me, that's when I looked on the phone and saw that it was for a fairly long time. And that was one of the things that kind of tweaked me as to this is going to could possibly go beyond an investigation that I would do.
Yes, and so you believe that it was important to retrieve that phone and then ultimately consult with your supervisor.
Yes.
Why did the content of those messages make you concerned, Lieutenant?
Like I said, it wasn't just the volume. I mean, there was a lot of messages. But as I was scrolling through there, then it came a point where money was being discussed, the exchange of money between the two. And that's unusual, to say the least, between a deputy and a citizen. But then when I saw the amount, it was mentioned specifically 2 checks for $1,000. And that's when I realized this is going to go beyond the scope of an investigation I would do.
And also, as part of your concern and taking this allegation by Ms. Soul seriously, did you tell Deputy Bybee to have no further contact with Ms. Soul?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell him that in person, sir?
I told him that over the phone. No, yeah, I told him that over the phone.
Over the telephone?
Yes, yes.
And did he acknowledge that to you? Did he understand and acknowledge that he should not visit her anymore or pay any or communicate with her in any way?
Yes. And I also told Sergeant Legg to convey that to him also.
Thank you very much. very much. I have nothing further.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
And he
So-
can be removed.
All right, subject to recall state.
No, thank you.
All right, Lieutenant, you are discharged from your subpoena, sir. You may go about your business.
Thank you.
Time for another witness.
Yes.
Deputy Reynolds, all right, thank you.
Russ Reynolds. Can you state your name for the record?
Russell Reynolds,
What is your occupation, sir?
Deputy Sheriff with Sarasota County.
Okay. How long have you been with the county?
21, a little over 21 years.
And in what capacity? What have you been doing the last 21 years? Can you just briefly give us a history of what your work has been?
I did approximately 2.5 years in corrections. In January of '99, I was sworn law enforcement and was brought to patrol. I did a short stint, approximately 2 years in our training section, and since then I've been on patrol and as a field training officer.
And how long is that? It's quite some time, it's a training officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm calling your attention back to the morning of January 12th. Do you have any memory of the events of that day?
Yes, sir, a little bit.
Tell me where did you receive a call and where did you go?
I was on my way into work at the beginning of my shift. My shift begins at 0600 at 6 a.m. I heard over the radio a call. Had a midnight sergeant was there, said everything was fine, then requested day shift units to respond to relieve the night shift. So I was one of the backup officers that responded.
Where were you going? Do you remember the address where you were going? The street?
Brockton?
Okay. Had you been there before?
No, sir.
Okay. And when you arrived, what did you observe? What did you see?
There was still an ambulance on the street. Had the lights on. I was the very last patrol car or very last vehicle of any kind parked on the street. I started walking up toward the residence to try to assess what was going on and see how I could get night shift relieved.
Okay. And did you go into the property? How did you enter in? And what did you see when you got inside?
I didn't go in the residence until the very end. I actually was met by Sergeant Allen, Deputy Plank, and Deputy Butler in the driveway
Okay.
and tried to get a little bit of information of what was going on.
Right. You learned some information from them without telling us what they said to you. The paramedics, did you have a chance to talk to them? How many were there, do you know?
I don't remember, sir. As far as the paramedics, how many?
Right.
I didn't count them. I don't remember.
Right. Did you yourself have a chance to see Marsha Soul?
I never saw her. I never spoke with her. She was at the very end of the call. I did go in the residence.
Okay.
She was sitting in a chair and her back was to me, so I never saw her face to face. I never made any verbal contact with her.
Okay. What time was this? Do you remember exactly roughly?
No, sir, not. I don't remember the time. Probably it would have been 6:30, 6:45, something like that in the morning.
In the morning.
Yes, sir.
And when you came into that property, I know you testified you didn't see her face. Did you see any blood or anything around the house?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you see any pills around the floor?
I didn't see any. No, sir.
Did you see any evidence of violence?
No, sir.
Did you see any indication from anything you saw when you came in that there was a struggle of any kind?
No, sir.
Were you able to, when you were in there, I know you said you didn't see her face, but were you able to listen to any conversations?
No, sir. When we went in, we were actually just checking to look and see if there were any obvious signs of a struggle. And then once we tried to look briefly through the residence to see if there was any obvious signs of a struggle or any obvious damage to the residence, I was told to go and secure the garage, both garage doors. And then at that point is when we exited the residence.
Okay, so when you entered the garage, can you describe to the jury how did you do that? Did you do it from the outside, inside? You didn't tell us how you did it.
I was inside the residence, exited the residence through a regular door, Not a big garage door, but a door that you would grab a doorknob and open the door.
Right.
Walked out into the garage.
But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you know whether that door was open or closed when you went to it?
That I do not remember.
Okay. And let me ask you, did you have any sense that there was any carbon monoxide there at all?
Not at that point, no. I didn't smell anything that smelled out of the ordinary in the residence, if that's what you're asking.
Did you smell nothing out of the ordinary?
No, sir.
Okay. And so what happened next? Did you go into the garage?
Walked into the garage.
Let me ask you that. I hate to do that. I hate to interrupt you. Was the garage down or up?
The garage door was up at the time.
It was up.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an independent memory before you went into the home that you noticed from the outside that it was up?
I believe the garage door was up. Yes.
Okay. So the whole time you were there, that garage door was not down. It was up.
I believe so, yes.
Do you have an independent memory that the vehicle was on or off?
The vehicle was off when I was there.
Off.
Correct.
And there was no fumes in the home. Did you know?
Nothing that was noticeable by me. Nothing that was very strong odors. Nothing like that, no.
Okay. What did you do next?
I found where the garage door, the button to close the garage door, stayed in the garage, pushed the button, made sure the garage door went down, walked back into the residence through the regular door into the residence, and met with the deputies that were in there, and then we exited the residence.
Okay. And the ambulance was there, you testified earlier? The ambulance, EMS were there?
At that point in time, there's only law enforcement there. Rescue had already gone before we walked in, before I'd walked in the house.
Okay. And so, did rescue take her to the hospital? Is there a complaint?
No, sir.
She's still in the home?
Yes, sir.
And that was roughly, by your estimation, 6:15, 6:30, 6:45 maybe?
Somewhere 6:30, 6:45 probably.
Did you hear what she was saying when you were in the room?
No, sir.
Never heard her speak?
I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. If she was talking with another deputy, I don't know.
You were not part of that conversation?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if anyone else was there besides law enforcement, besides EMS and law enforcement?
Inside the residence?
Yes.
No, sir. Not while I was there anyway.
Do you know what her complaints were about? Why she had called the police?
I know just the comments on the screen that we had is basically there was a struggle and we were there to check out what had happened.
But no signs of struggle?
Not that I could see. Nothing that was obvious and stood out as any type of struggle.
When you said you saw her from the back,
If there's any part of it, it'd be maybe a tiny bit of her head. She was in a recliner or in at least an easy chair, an armchair,
right,
and was sitting in the chair, was not facing towards me at any point.
right.
Nor did I walk around the front of her to see her.
Did you see what she was wearing?
No, sir.
So you can't describe what she was wearing at all?
No, sir.
Do you have I may have asked you this earlier, but do you remember seeing any pills anywhere?
No, sir.
Do you have an independent memory of any discussion with Deputy Bybee that morning when you were there with the other law enforcement officials?
Not with me. I didn't talk with anybody specifically about Bybee that I can remember.
Okay. It's helpful not to guess in these proceedings.
Okay.
Was there any sign of any struggle or anything in the garage that was misplaced?
Nothing that stuck out to me, no, sir.
Do you know if, when you were there, did law enforcement take any photographs?
While I was there, law enforcement did not.
When you walked through the property near where she said. Did you see any towel or water or anything like that on the ground?
No, sir. If there did happen to be one, I did not see it. I did not make any note of it.
It was not open and obvious, you didn't see it.
Correct.
If it was there at all, you have no clue.
Right. I have no clue.
Did you see any broken glass?
No, sir.
Did you see any papers that were thrown out?
No, sir.
Let me ask you, it was light out when you arrived, sun was up,
No, sir.
sun was down.
Sun was
Did
still
you
there.
use a flashlight in the garage? Did you turn the light
By
on?
the time it was time to leave, we did not need a light, but no, I did not take a light into the garage.
When you entered into the home, the lights were on,
Yes.
and you could see what was around you.
Yes, sir.
One minute. Nothing else. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Do you remember giving an interview to Detective Gata?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was on January 12th of 2017.
Yes, ma'am.
That was the very same day that we're talking about now when you went to see Marshall Soul at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
You told Detective Gata at that time that Marshall Soul was making comments that Bybee came in and tried to kill her, and that he...
Improper.
Sustained.
Did you tell Detective Gata that Miss Soul was making comments that Bybee tried to kill her? And did you tell Detective Gata that Miss Soul was making comments that Bybee tried to kill her and that he was wearing bright blue gloves and some kind of hat and that he, in some way, tried to kill her?
Not that I remember, no, ma'am.
Would anything help to refresh your recollection?
The entire time, and one of the first things...
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
would anything help to refresh your recollection? The statement that you gave to Detective Gata.
If I'd given opportunity to read the statement, yes.
Would that help to refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Thank you. Counsel, page 5.
Thank you.
You recognize that as your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Turn to page 5.
Is it okay if I'm here for book?
Look at the very bottom of page 5 that is highlighted.
Yes, ma'am.
Read it silently.
She was making...
Silently, read it to yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Does that help to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Did you tell Detective Gata that Miss Soul was making comments about Bybee? That he came in and tried to kill her? That he was wearing bright blue gloves? Some kind of
Evidently, yes, ma'am. Those are records from my interview.
And this interview was conducted, what time on January 12th?
It's towards the latter part of the day, roughly between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m.
12 hours after you get out of Marcia Soul's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further, thank you.
Redirect.
You looked at the statement on page 5.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then tell me, where was the evidence that he tried to kill you? What did you see?
That's what I've already told you. I didn't see any signs of any struggle.
He tried to kill her wearing light blue gloves and a kind of hat. So you didn't see any evidence, physical evidence, any evidence of that.
That is correct.
And the EMS cleared her, am I right?
Yes, sir.
And there was no evidence that there was any struggle there.
Objection, Your Honor. He said he did not see her.
Asked and answered.
From your time in that home, based on what she told you, did you see anything to validate that?
She never told me anything, but based on what I saw while I was in the home, I saw no obvious signs of a struggle, nothing that stood out as being signs of a struggle.
And you and I agree that had you seen that, you would have done something about that.
Your Honor, I don't know whether it's relevant whether they agree.
Well, first of all, it's, just keep in
I
mind, he's
object.
your witness,
All right,
so
I understand.
it was leading, so I will sustain the objection.
I'll rephrase it for you. Was any action taken to bring a forensic team to do any investigation at that moment?
At that moment, no, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Subject to recall?
No.
All right, thank you. Deputy, you are discharged from your subpoena. You may go about your day. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good time for us to take our mid-afternoon break, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give us, let's see, 20 minutes today because I have a certain something I have to discuss with the defense at this point. So it'll probably take me about 5 minutes. So let's take a 20-minute recess and we'll see you back here at 3:30. All right, very good. Mr. Bybee, would you do me a favor? Just raise your right hand for me, please. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. All right, Mr. Bybee, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your right to testify or your right not to testify at this point, all right? You understand that you do have a constitutional right not to testify in a criminal proceeding. You understand that, right? But the thing you may not understand is that while you may have wise counsel next to you and may confer with your counsel and make this decision based on your counsel's advice, but the final decision on whether you're going to testify or not is your decision to make solely. You're the one who has to in the final analysis, make that determination. Have you had sufficient time to talk to your attorney about this particular issue?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you need any additional time to talk to him about the issue of whether to testify or not testify in this case? Right. And based on your final decision, are you in a position where you can inform me whether you are going to testify or not in this case?
I will not.
All right, sir. Then I'll note for the record that I will be reading this particular jury instruction at the end of the case if you maintain that position, right? I'm going to be reading the jury instruction that reads as follows. The Constitution requires the state to prove its accusation against the defendant. It is not necessary for the defendant to disprove anything, nor is the defendant required to prove his innocence. It is up to the state to prove the defendant's guilt by evidence. The defendant exercised a fundamental right by choosing not to be a witness in this case. You, meaning the jury, must not view this as an admission of guilt or be influenced in any way by his decision. No juror should ever be concerned that the defendant did or did not take the stand to give testimony in his case. Mr. Capiers, you heard the jury instruction that I will be giving to the jury?
I did.
Any objection to it, sir?
No, sir.
All right, and you understand, Mr. Bybee, that that is the instruction I will be giving if you maintain the position that you are not going to testify in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good, sir.
If I may, Your Honor,
You may.
just one other matter. court had inquired just before I spoke to Mr. Bybee about this issue. I asked for a couple minutes. I just want the court to know that Mr. Bybee and I have had lengthy discussions prior to today, weeks ago, about this very issue. So I just want the court and the record to reflect that it wasn't just a 2-minute conversation. We've had long discussions contemplating whether this is going to happen or not, just so the court's aware.
Clarity of the record, but I didn't think otherwise, Mr. Kapir. I knew this was an issue that you'd want to discuss for some period of time before.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and any other matters before we take our break? All right, very good. We'll be in recess and reconvene at 3:30. Parties are present. Jury ready? Bring them on out.
Jury's present.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Defense, your next witness.
Defense will call Mary Ann Dumbo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's going to be really important to do your best to speak into that microphone because I know you have a soft voice. So if you can scoot up there.
A little more? How's that?
Good.
Okay.
On occasion, we may remind you. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Mary Ann, 2 words, Dombro, D as in David, O, M, B as in boy, R, O.
Ms. Dumbo, where do you live?
I live in Village Green.
Are you familiar with a lady by the name of Marcia Soul?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell us how long you've known Ms. Soul?
About 25 years.
Where do you live in relation to Ms. Soul? Of course, she's at 3296 Brockton Lane.
Brockton, and I'm on Pinecrest.
And where is that in relation to her home?
Well, if you go out my back door, it's around by the pool.
So you're walking distance?
Oh, yes, yes.
Have you lived at this close location with Ms. Soul for the 25 years? Or?
Yes, yes, sir.
Would you consider your relationship with Ms. Soul a friend relationship?
Friendly and toxic at the same time.
Okay. Have you in the past socialized with Ms. Soul? When I say socialize, I mean outside, just being neighbors, going out to dinner?
Yes.
Okay.
Frequently.
Let me draw your attention to October 2016. Are you aware that Ms. Soul was Baker acted back in October of 2016?
I didn't know about it till afterwards.
All right. And how is it that you found out about it? Who told you?
She did.
Did she contact you?
Yes.
At this time, October of 2016, what is your relationship with Ms. Soul?
At that time, I don't think I had seen her in a while because my husband was dying. He was in hospice. He died on the 18th of October.
All right. So close proximity.
Yes.
Prior to your husband falling ill, did Ms. Soul ever assist you or provide you with any type of money or gifts?
Yes.
How often?
Well, it wasn't frequent. She gave us money one time when his office closed and we were kind of in dire straits. She gave us some money. And after Richard died, she offered to pay off my mortgage.
Off your mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that?
I never considered it, no.
All right. Was it your experience in your friendship, 25 years with Ms. Soul, that she would on occasion offer you money? Or was it only within the last?
Well, it's only been in the last 3 years since Richard closed his office.
And fell ill?
Yes.
Okay. When Miss Soul returned from the hospital, do you remember ballpark? And I know it's a long time ago, when that was? When she reached out to you and said she'd been Baker Act?
I can't give you a definite time because my brother-in-law fell ill at the same time and he died within a month of my husband.
Non-responsive.
Overall.
I'm sorry, did I?
Okay.
So I can't really tell you. It had to be between the 18th and the 27th of November I talked to her.
All right. How often would you go to Miss Soul's house?
Whenever she called me.
Can you give us an idea of the frequency of that? I mean, once a month, once a year?
A couple of times a week, I would say. She was in AFib last summer, and she was having a rough time, so I would go over and make toast for her, coffee, whatever.
The times, if you had to give an estimation of how many times you think you've been to Miss Soul's house, let's just leave it up to the last year. 2 years. How many times do you think it'd be?
It's 2 years. Well, the last year I haven't been there at all except for the morning she called me.
All right, fair enough. Are you familiar with folks that come to Miss Soul's house or assist Miss Soul in some everyday chores?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with these?
I met Philomena, I think, a couple of times, and I met Eloise a couple of times.
Who, at least by your knowledge, is Eloise?
Eloise was the lady that helped her, did the cooking, cleaning, ironing.
And you've met her?
Yes.
Philomena, how do you know Philomena?
I knew her when all this erupted. I got to know her.
Before that, did you know her?
No, I did not. I had met her years and years ago at a party.
How about an individual that assisted Miss Soul with some landscaping and gardening?
Oh, Bill. Yes.
You met Bill?
Yes, I have met Bill.
How many times?
Several. He used to come over to our house and do yard work.
During the times that you've seen Eloise or you've seen Bill, for example, at Miss Soul's house, did you ever observe Miss Soul give them credit cards or ATM cards and request that they go and make purchases or get money?
I think I was one time when I was at her house. I think she wanted Eloise to take her credit card. Don't quote me on that.
That's all right.
I can't
How about
remember.
How about Bill, the gardener?
I don't know. I think she paid Bill in cash, but she gave Bill her credit card because I think he lost it. Something happened. Anyway, she gave me a credit card that stayed on my kitchen counter for about 4 or 5 months.
Let's talk about that for a second. So,
Okay.
besides the information you have about Eloise and possibly Bill,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Soul gave you a credit card to use?
Yes.
For what reason?
She thought maybe I needed it.
And what did you do with her credit card?
I left it on my kitchen counter.
You ever returned it?
Yes.
Did Miss Soul ever give you money via checks?
One time I bought groceries for her, and I would not use the credit card. I used my money, and she gave me a check for $21 or $22.
Did you ask for it or no?
No, that's just what she gave me because I brought the groceries in the house, and she wrote the check.
Let me draw your attention, Ms. Dumbro, to the date of January 12th, 2017. Were you contacted in the very early morning hours of January 12th, 2017?
Yes.
And could you explain to us who contacted?
Marcia, at 5:25 in the morning, she said, get over here. Right now, she says, I've been attacked, call the police.
With your description, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming that that was a phone call.
That was I'm sorry.
Meeting.
It was a phone call.
How long, if there's an estimation, how long was that phone call?
Well, however long it takes someone to say, get over here right now, call the police. 30 minutes?
Minutes or seconds?
Seconds, 30 seconds. 15 seconds? I don't know.
You received this call. Are you awake and up?
No, I was in bed sound asleep.
I didn't know if you were an early riser. My
No.
apologies.
Yeah.
What do you do?
You mean as
You get a phone call. She tells you
Oh,
that you
okay.
said these phone calls. What do you do?
I get up, I put on my bathrobe, I go in the kitchen, I grabbed my cell phone, and I called the police, and I got in the car, and I went to her house.
Did you call 911?
I called, yes, I did call 911.
Could you tell us how long it took you driving from your residence to Miss Soul's home?
Couple of minutes.
When you arrived, could you describe for us what you saw?
I saw the garage door up, and the lights were on in the garage. I'm not sure if there were police cars on the side, because I pulled up into the driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
I came straight up, and I went through her hallway into her front door, and she told me she had been accosted.
Now, at any time, did you go out to the garage?
Yes.
Could you tell us when you did that?
I looked at her and I said, Marcia, I think you're okay. And I walked through the kitchen, and the door was shut, and I cannot tell you if it was locked or unlocked, but the door was shut. I went out, I went into the car, I turned it off, came back through the kitchen door, and I hung up the keys and shut the door.
Let me ask you this. So when you walk in the front door, ballpark, what time do you think it was?
Twenty to 6, quarter to 6,
All right.
someplace in there.
When you walk in the front door of Miss Soul's residence, are you overcome with fumes from the vehicle?
No,
Do you notice any odor?
no.
How is it that you made your way to the garage to shut off the vehicle? How did you know that the car was running?
Well, you could hear it running when I pulled up. I could see it was running because it was vibrating.
Did someone ask you to go and turn it off,
No.
or did you do that?
I just did it on my own.
Once you hung the keys back up, I'm not going to assume what you did, so why don't you tell us what you did at that point?
I walked back into the living room, and there were a lot of deputies there who were totally professional, and they listened to what she had to say, and
Don't tell me what any of the deputies said.
I won't.
All right.
Okay.
Did you hear Miss Soul explaining to the deputies what she claims had occurred?
Yes.
You were in close enough proximity to hear that?
Yes.
Did you also have an opportunity to actually physically see Miss Soul herself?
Yes.
See her face, her
Yes.
clothing?
Everything.
Was it your observations, Miss Dunbar, that Miss Soul had any injuries?
Objection.
I'm sorry, what?
Any injuries?
Well,
Hold on.
Repetitive leading. I'm objecting to the leading.
All right, you are leading. Sustained, please rephrase.
Did you notice anything unusual about Miss Soul?
well, she was always real messy around her chair, and it just looked normal to me, and her face looked like shiny, and her nose was shiny.
Did you notice any bruises?
No.
I believe at some point in time that you took photographs?
I took 2 pictures.
Could you explain to us why you did that?
She asked me to.
Did she explain to you why she wanted you to do that?
She said that she had been accosted and she wanted proof. So I took the 2 pictures.
Did you provide those pictures to anybody?
To all of criminal investigation, yes.
Did you do that day or some other day?
Oh, no, it was later on. And I don't remember when. It's when they started their investigation.
And how did you take the pictures?
With my phone.
Let me show you, it's been admitted into evidence. States Exhibit 5A. Bybee, C, B, and E. And push.
May.
All right, and walked up before I asked. You can take a look at those. Take your time going through each one, and then please tell us who you're in.
Okay, what do you want me to say? And
All right, hold on.
okay,
You had a chance to look at all files, A, B, C, and D.
yeah.
What you see in those photographs, Ms. Summer, is that how Marcia Soul looked when you were there at 6 o'clock a.m. that morning?
No.
What is different from what you saw to what is depicted in those photographs?
Okay, well, her clothes are all bloodied here.
Were they bloody when you saw them?
No. There was one spot on her nightgown.
What else is different?
Well, her face crossed the bridge of her nose.
Did you see that when
No.
you saw her at 6?
No, I did not.
What else is different?
Well, there's nothing around her chair.
Understand?
I mean, she had Kleenex, she had, water.
What else is different as far as physically? Anything?
Well, I don't want to say because I might be wrong.
Well, we certainly don't want you to do that.
No, then I won't tell you what I think.
All right, please.
Okay.
Now, how long do you think you stayed at Miss Soul's home that early morning, January 12th, 2012?
Well, I know she was in capable hands, so I knew I could leave. And I went, well, I ran home and got my iPad. And I brought that back because there had been a couple of emails from Marcia on there. And I gave it to a couple of deputies to read. And it was shortly after that, I think, that I went home.
Now, let's talk about those emails and your iPad. Did someone ask you to go get your iPad?
No, I think I volunteered it.
And can you tell us why you volunteered that?
Because Marcia has been going to kill herself for 20 years. I mean, it was over the phone, no matter, It used to drive Richard nuts. He would say,
Objection, objection,
Hold on.
non-responsive.
okay. I'm sorry.
I'll work on it.
It's a
Okay.
stand. Thank you.
Sorry.
Who's Richard?
My husband.
All right, let's not talk about
Okay.
what
Okay.
you believe. Have you, through the years,
Yes.
been told by Miss Soul that she wished to harm you?
Yes.
Can you give us an estimation?
An estimate. I can't.
That's fine.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Would it be fair to say that it was more than,
Objection, leading.
Sustained. She can't recall.
you have no recollection at all?
Several.
Yes, ma'am. You go and you retrieve your iPad. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Do you recall who you shared that or those emails with?
No, I do not. But it was with the deputies, and we were standing outside.
The iPad,
Mhm.
did you physically give it to them?
Yes.
Or did you send or forward this?
No, I gave it to him.
When do you think you received this email that was on your iPad?
I can't answer that. I'm not sure.
Okay. At some point in time, did you turn that email over to law
Yes.
enforcement?
Yes, I did.
Was it sometime after that day?
Yes.
Do you remember when?
In the weeks following. In the weeks following, they were in and out of my house.
While you were in Miss Soul's home that morning,
Yes.
early morning, did you share your opinions, without telling me what they were, of Miss Soul, with the deputies that were there?
Yes.
Do you know how many deputies you shared that opinion with?
4.
While you were at Miss Soul's residence, Miss Dumbrow, did you see any EMTs or paramedics around? If you recall.
I think so.
Let me ask you this. When you were in Miss Soul's home, was she speaking about another deputy she had alleged had done things?
Yes. She was talking about Frank Bybee.
Had you heard that name before?
Yes.
Before that day?
Yes. Many times.
Do you remember when you first heard the name Frank Bybee?
I want to say it was after Richard passed away.
Your Honor, if we could, objection, if we could have less references to Richard and just,
Objection, Judge.
She's using it as a frame of reference.
I understand that, Your Honor, but
So why don't we, when did your husband pass away?
The 18th of October.
Right, so 18th of October.
Okay, so I had a house full of people for a week, so a week from the 18th puts us into I don't know where. And then I spoke to Marcia, and she was telling me that she had been in the psych ward for 6 days. And she thought Frank Bybee was the best thing since ice cream, were her exact words.
At some point in time, let me direct your attention to the end, near the end of December, in between before Christmas and the end of December 2016. Did Miss Soul make you aware that she had contacted the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
Did she indicate to you the reason that she contacted the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, she did.
What did she tell you?
She said that she asked Frank Bybee to do something for her in the garage. And she said, Frank said, I have to be with my boys. I'm terribly sorry. I can't be there. She said, if you don't come, she says, I'm going to call the department and tell them that.
objection, hearsay.
Well, this is what she
Hold
told
on.
me.
Hold on.
Man, stop speaking, please. Sustained.
Now, when you were shared this information, or this information was shared to you by Miss Soul, did you respond in any way?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said you crossed the line.
From that point, this conversation we're talking about,
Okay.
personally, telephone, text, what manner?
I kept it at practically nothing.
No. What I'm asking you is, the conversation we're just discussing,
Okay.
did she tell you that in person, over the phone, computer, or text?
Over the phone.
Without telling me what you specifically said, were you surprised by what she told you?
Yes.
Prior to that conversation that you had with Ms. Soul, had there been any indications by Ms. Soul to you
No.
that she was unhappy in any way with Mr. Bybee?
No.
Your Honor, may we approach momentarily? Mr. Elmer, at any point in time, were you ever made, and maybe I'm using the wrong phrase, but a healthcare surrogate or someone to be notified on behalf of Ms. Soul?
An advocate.
An advocate.
Yes.
Remember when that was that you were made an advocate?
I think she had me down, but I think the first time I knew it was when I got a call from, it was something Pines, I think in Punta Gorda.
Did you, as a result of being listed as Ms. Soul's healthcare advocate, did you have to sign any paperwork?
No.
Were you provided any documentation by Ms. Soul that designated you as that
No.
individual?
No.
As a result of that designation, did you have conversations with Ms. Soul's medical provider?
I did with her, the liaison down at the Pines in Punta Gorda.
Did you ever speak to anyone from Dr. Lerner's office?
I spoke to Dr. Lerner.
Oh, how many times?
Once, I think. I'm not sure.
Did you ever visit Ms. Soul in any facilities?
Yes, she was at Health South, I think was the name of it, Health South. It was on,
Is that the only place that you visited her?
yes, because I took her clothes.
Was that on her request?
Yes.
Could you describe for us how you would have taken clothes to her? In other words, did you go buy them or go get them?
No, we were on a cell phone together, and she had me go through each thing one by one, and I packed everything up and took it to her.
Go through each thing one by one.
Well, socks.
Were you in her home?
Yes, I was in her home. I was in her dresser.
How did you get into her home if she wasn't there?
I had keys at that point.
Were you given permission to
Yes.
go?
She said, please go in. And I said, I've got a suitcase. I had a duffel bag. And she had me go through checkbook, papers, credit cards.
Did you bring those items to her?
Whatever she wanted, I took to her.
How many times do you think you did that?
Well, that's the one time I remember doing a
Yes,
very thorough job, yes.
I may have one moment.
Certainly.
morning, did you see blood everywhere on the floor?
The morning of
January
the 12th?
2017, when you said you got there,
No, no.
did you see blood on her chair?
No. I saw one dot on her nightgown, and her chair was a mess, and there was stuff all over the floor.
Non-responsive.
Oh, okay.
Listen to the question, just answer the question, okay?
When you say chair was a mess, what describe that?
Well, there were, looked like she dropped her pills on the floor, and she had Kleenex all over the place. There was, I think, some water, I think Kleenex.
Anything else?
I don't remember. I've got a picture.
I understand.
Okay.
Did it appear to you, from what you saw, Ms. Dunby, that Miss Soul had been
Objection calls for speculation.
her observations?
You can ask her about her observations, but you're asking her to render an opinion about, based on those observations at this point, so I'll sustain that objection.
Based on your observations, based on what you saw
Okay.
of Miss Soul,
Yeah.
what was your impression?
Objection.
Overruled.
Objection.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can answer.
Can I answer this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I assumed.
No,
Can I?
don't assume.
Objection.
Oh, can't say it's not.
Just what you observed.
I thought she probably.
Objection.
Ma'am, if you are assuming or thinking to yourself this may or may not have happened, then it's not proper for you to give that opinion, all right? Because you're assuming or you're thinking that this might have happened or that might have happened.
Okay.
So it's only when you can give an opinion based on facts that you're able to give an opinion. Doesn't sound to me as though you get all the facts to
No.
give an opinion.
No, I can't give an. No.
Fair enough. What you observed from Miss Soul and what you saw of her physically, is that reflected in those photographs that I've showed you and that are
No.
in front of you?
No. Not what I saw.
May I retrieve?
You may.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cross-examination.
Oh.
Certainly. Folks, if you'd like to do a little stretching while we're getting the electronics up and running. Do I see counsel at the sidebar? Are you done with your setting up?
No, it's.
Okay.
showing you what has been marked and admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 4A and 4B. Recognize those names?
Yes. The pictures I took.
Pardon?
I think they're the pictures I took.
You'll have to speak into the microphone.
I think they're the pictures I took.
They have been introduced into evidence through detective data. You testified that you gave those to her.
Yes.
Objection. Referencing what some other witness has testified to.
Stain.
Are you not sure that those are the pictures?
I think they are. They are the pictures I took. Yes. Probably. Okay.
Sure.
You told us that when you took these pictures of Tom Road, did you just have one little spot of blood on the next one?
Yeah. That's what I see here is a spot right here.
You only see one spot of blood
Mhm.
on the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to turn around and look at the picture behind you? Still only see one spot of blood on the next one?
Well, it's enhanced.
Do you see only one spot of blood on the next one?
Yeah, right here. Okay.
State's Exhibit 4A, which you that you took. Turn next. And when you look at the picture behind you,
Mm-hmm.
are you telling us that this picture does not reflect any injuries in Miss Sill's face?
Yes.
You're telling us
I mean, I see, yes.
you see what?
I see some injury.
You see some injuries,
Yes.
and yet you testified that she had no injuries to her face.
I thought she hit her head on the tub.
You're not speaking, and please don't tell us what you thought.
Okay.
Does this photograph, State's Exhibit 4B, that you took 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, show injuries to Miss Sill's face?
Yes.
You're aware, aren't you, that carbon monoxide is odorless?
Yes. I am.
Now, you told us that the car was running when you got to Miss Souls
Yes.
at 5:30, and that you turned it off?
Yes.
You also testified that the garage door was open.
Open.
Can you tell us which garage door it was that was open? Was it the door that from the kitchen to the garage, or the sliding?
Up.
Yeah,
The
up
great
door.
big
Okay.
door was
Thank you.
open.
All right.
And the light was on.
Defense counsel asked you whether or not you shared your opinions about Miss Soul with the first responders, the deputies that were there that morning.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you feel that it was important for you to do that?
Because I had had so many talks with her about her committing suicide.
So, did you run home? I think that's where you ran home to
Well, that's not quite true. I got in my car and went home.
Okay, so you drove home.
I drove home.
And I'm showing you State's Exhibit 16A. Take a look at that for me, please. See where you can-
This was an email.
Do you recognize it, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
Because it was sent to my email address.
Is that the email that you showed to the deputies that were out there?
I believe it is. I believe it is.
Do you have any doubt in your mind that it's the email that you showed to the deputies who were out there?
Right now, no.
Right now, no. What?
Your Honor, I believe she's answered.
I'm not sure. I need some clarification on what her answer was. So.
Would you like an opportunity to read that? Would it help to refresh your recollection? Yes. Ma'am, would it help
Yes.
to refresh your recollection? You have to speak up nice and loud so the recorder can get your answer.
The record will reflect that Ms. Dombrow appears to be reading the email at this time, so we'll give her a few minutes to be able to do that.
I don't remember this at all. This one.
You don't remember that?
No, I do not.
Showing you State's 16B.
This, yes, I remember well.
Did you show that to the deputies?
Yes, I did.
Why did you show that to the deputies?
Your
Be-
Honor, instead of standing next to the witness,
Because I thought they had a right to know.
And you actually told the deputies not to take her seriously. Isn't that true?
I might have used those words. I'm not sure right now. It was a long time ago.
Well, can you tell us what you told them about Marcia Soul so that you could influence them not to take her seriously?
objection. It's not what she said.
Rephrase, please. further.
Yes. What did you tell the deputies in order to influence them?
Same question.
I'll sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you tell the deputies?
What did you tell the deputies about Miss Soul?
That she had been killing herself for years.
You told them more than that, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Please tell us what else you told the deputies.
It's not hearsay if I tell you?
Ma'am,
Okay.
It's okay, ma'am. I'll let you do it.
Okay. Well, I told them I thought she hit her head on the tub because that's where her walker was. No, wrong.
I'm asking you.
Stop.
Wait, okay. What do you want me to tell you, and I'll tell you.
Your Honor, she was in mid-answer.
She was. But you objected. So
Oh, no, I didn't. I objected because she was cut off and wasn't able to finish her answer.
Sorry. Ma'am, you can finish your answer and go ahead and do that.
Okay, I went and I got Marcia's walker and I put it by her and I said, "How did you get to your chair?" And she says, "I walked."
I didn't ask you
Okay,
what you said to Marcia.
okay, what,
I'm asking you the opinions that you shared about Marcia and her personality with the deputies there.
I just told them what I thought. They're the professionals, I was
Ma'am,
not. Yes,
I asked you.
Judge, can she finish her answer?
Well, she's not really finishing it, so listen to the question and see if you can answer it solely to that question, okay?
okay.
What opinions about Marcia Soul's personality did you share with the deputies that morning?
The fact that she was always going to kill herself.
What other opinions did you share about Marcia Soul's personality to the deputies out there?
That she had been in a couple of psych wards.
Did you also say, "Good luck, boys, she is nasty"?
I don't know if I said good luck, boys.
Is
Even
there
though
any-
they're young enough to be my sons, I probably said she is nasty and she's a piece of work.
Thank you. Were there any other opinions that you shared with the deputies?
I don't remember right now.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you.
You direct?
Only, man.
79.
And during the time period that you have known and associated with Miss Soul, have you known her to use foul language?
Constantly.
The email that you shared with law enforcement,
Right.
was that email consistent with how Miss Soul?
Talked? Yes.
Your Honor, objection. She said she didn't recognize it.
She said she recognized 16B. If that's the one she's referring to, I'm not sure.
I'll clarify.
Okay.
Let's make sure that we're talking about the same
Yes.
email.
Email you have in front of you,
Yes.
which is 16B as in boy. Is that email consistent with what you know Miss Soul to be? or talk
Exact words, almost.
The photographs that Ms. Fravelin showed you, 4B and 4A, you indicate that you see, now that it's blown up, some level of injury.
Yes.
Are they the same that you saw with photographs 5A through 5E?
No.
Okay. May I retrieve these?
Give me-
Have no further questions.
Thank you. Any subject to recall?
No.
All right, thank you. Ms. Dobrow, completed your testimony. You're free from your subpoena at this time. You can go home and go about your business.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And have a placard.
Next witness?
Yes, we would call Sergeant Felix.
Sergeant Hill, Chris.
Fields?
Felix.
Felix.
F-E-L-I-S.
As in the cat?
Yes. Hi, Sergeant. How are you today?
Good.
I'm John Lakin. Nice to meet you. Can you just state your name for the record?
Chris Felix.
Okay. What is your occupation, sir?
I'm a sergeant at Sarasota County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed at the Sarasota Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 28 years.
Can you give us a brief history of your employment, what you've done at the Sheriff's Office?
I started out in patrol. I was a field training officer. Then I went into criminal investigations. Excuse me. Then I went into narcotics for approximately 10 years. Got promoted to sergeant. Went back out as a patrol sergeant. And then was in criminal investigations as a sergeant for 5 years. And now, last 3 years, I've been in patrol and a sergeant.
Okay. I'm going to call your attention back to January of this year. Did you have an opportunity to go to a property in Brockton?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the name of the person who lived at that property?
Soho.
Soul?
Soul, yes.
A woman, Marcia Soul?
Yes.
Okay. Why were you called out there? Do you know why?
To relieve the night shift deputies.
Okay. And what time was that around? Do you recall?
It was approximately just after 6 o'clock.
6 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do when you arrived?
When I arrived, I spoke to Deputy Butler, referenced the call.
Okay, and what did you learn about? What was the call about?
The call was reference.
Objection, hearsay.
Asked what it was about. I didn't say who said what to who.
Well, he's starting to tell us what he learned.
Don't tell us what other people told you. What was the general nature of the call?
Lady claimed that
Objection.
Sustained.
Was this some kind of crime reported?
yes,
Okay. And you went into the property? Yes.
I went into the foyer.
Okay. And did you see anyone in there?
I saw the back of the victim.
Okay. Can you describe the area? You said the back of the living room. Can you tell us what was the area like?
When you walked in, it was a villa. When you walked in, there's a foyer. To the right is the living room where the victim was sitting in a recliner. The back of it was, to me, if you went to the left from the foyer, it was the bedrooms.
Okay. Did you continue to walk inside the area?
No, I did not.
Okay. And you stopped at the foyer?
Yes,
And you could hear a discussion going on?
yes.
Okay. What was Ms. Soul saying, if anything?
Objection, hearsay.
It is hearsay.
Did you hear anything yourself?
Yes.
What did you hear?
Objection, hearsay.
Now, let me ask you this.
Come up here. Come on, no, come up here.
Hold on. Can you tell me what you observed? Did you see blood? Did you see anything like that?
Pardon me? Can
Did you see blood or anything there?
No,
Did you see any evidence of a crime there?
no,
Did you inspect for any evidence of a crime?
no,
Okay. Did you call forensics?
no.
Was there a need to call?
The call was already investigated by the night sergeant. So in my opinion, I was just there to relieve
Don't
him.
want. Objection.
Objection. There's no, we're not asking for your opinion.
Okay.
Just the facts and your observations, sir.
Who did you replace?
Sergeant Allen,
Sergeant Allen. So you were replacing Sergeant Allen. With your personal observations, you did go into the property.
just the foyer.
Okay. Did you see, from the foyer, could you see the floor?
No, not where she was located.
Okay.
5160 feet and 50 to 35.
Sorry. Thanks, turn it on.
Appreciate that. So if you could estimate how long you were at the property
Inside or completely?
completely.
15, 20 minutes?
So if you bifurcate how much time you were outside and how much you were inside, can you tell us that?
I was inside approximately 3 minutes.
It's a very short time.
Yes,
Okay. Did you see the garage?
yes,
Was it up or down?
up,
Okay, was the car running?
no,
Okay. Did you see EMS?
no.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge that they were there?
I heard Sergeant Allen request them.
Objection.
Without
Hearsay.
saying what other people said. It's very strict rules. Okay, but your personal observation, you didn't see an ambulance?
No,
Okay. Who were the officers that were still there when you arrived?
Deputy Butler and Deputy Russell Reynolds.
Deputy Russell was Paul?
Yes,
Deputy?
yes,
And he was inside?
yes.
I think I asked you if forensics was called when you were there. Do you know if that happened?
I don't know.
You have no knowledge of that?
No.
One minute. You see pills anywhere on the floor?
No,
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled. So, once again, did you see pills anywhere?
no,
Did you see a glass of water?
no,
Did you see personal papers?
no,
you see any signs of a struggle?
No.
I have nothing much.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Felix.
Good afternoon.
Did you ever get past the doorway in that house?
Yes,
Where did you go?
to the foyer entryway.
Okay, but how close was that to the front door?
Very close.
Can you give us an estimate?
2 feet?
From you to me, for example. Closer than from you to me?
I walked in approximately to the cabinet right there. Yes. Yes. 10 feet or less, between 5 and 10 feet.
Did you ever actually see Marcia Soul's face?
No.
Did you attempt to interview any neighbors?
No.
Okay, there was a crime reported. What did you do about any investigation?
I didn't, none of that. It was completed before I got there.
The investigation was completed before you got there?
I guess I misunderstand your question.
Okay, what did you do to investigate any of this allegations of a violent crime?
I didn't investigate any of it. I responded there, but I didn't do any of the investigation.
Why not?
As I was trying to explain, I was the relief for the night shift. The night shift had already did the actual investigation.
Sergeant Felix, are you aware of WatchGuard?
WatchGuard?
WatchGuard on,
I'm sorry? I need to know where it's going to make a determination whether it's beyond the scope, so.
this is called impeachment, so there are statements that I need to refer
Just
to
come up here for a minute, please. You don't just. Objection is overruled. What are we maying about? Can I ask just to step out for a couple of minutes while I work my way through this particular issue?
All right, sir, please.
CF across fields. Please be seated, everyone. You have this marked here, so I don't see CF here. Do you have any idea where this is? All right, if you can find it a lot faster than I can, I'm sure. So show me where it is, his. Do you have any additional, there should be some additional conversation. Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to step out of the courtroom for a couple of minutes here, okay? While I take a look at a few of these things. Defense been provided with these? Yeah, we can make a copy while we're.
Thank you.
All right. Pardon me? Yes, please. get too comfortable. It's going to take me a while to work through. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having you sit around, what I'm going to have you do, I'm happy to report to you that we are actually ahead of schedule. So this case is progressing as we thought it was, but it's actually progressing a little bit faster. So I'm not going to have any real concern about finishing it up. That's really a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you go home a little bit early. I'm going to work my way through these particular issues. Sergeant will be back up in the stand tomorrow morning to finish the inquiry. I'm just going to ask you once again, please don't read any news reports to anything that jeopardizes this case at this point. And I will see you all tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you. Ready to leave, all right? Please be seated. Everyone, Sergeant, again, with my admonishment, please, your release. I'll see you again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
What time do you want the witnesses back tomorrow morning?
9 o'clock. We're going to be everyone back here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're done for the day. All right. How can we get a copy of the transcript to give to counsel?
Well, I'm going to ask Madam Court Reporter. I know that there is a copy machine back there on the fourth floor.
All right, let's take a brief recess. Let's get a copy of the transcript. Where is the CD?
It was in the watch guard.
I can give you my copy.
I have.
Okay. All right, we have a copy. Let's do this. Let's load that up into the machine. If we can make 2 copies, because I'd like to be able to read along as well. And why don't we do that? And we'll reconvene here in 10 minutes or so, and we'll work our way through this particular issue. All right?